Welcome to our MxManagementCenter tutorial. This instructional video is about setting up a video management system using the new free-of-charge software from Mobotix. Just like in a real security application, we want to use this video to set up an exemplary project where we can specify all of the necessary settings. We recommend completing the Operating MxManagementCenter video tutorial to prepare for this tutorial. After installing the software and launching it for the first time, the MxManagementCenter welcome page opens. We can see a question mark symbol in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and this is also present in the other pages of MxMC. Click the symbol to view a quick help window featuring additional information for each button. You can also download the PDF tutorial from our website for further detailed information. If you are planning to migrate from MxEasy or MxControlCenter to MxMC, you can import the relevant project files by making the appropriate selection. In the case of MxEasy, you need the project file with the NDB file extension, which you will find in the user directory under App Data. You need the MxCC ini file for the MxControlCenter, and this is also stored in the App Data directory. If you would like to subsequently create a new project, simply click Start New Project. Remember to save your current project beforehand, as this action will discard it. Because there was no project available the first time you launched MxMC, a new project was automatically created and we can now add cameras to this project. We will select Add Devices to obtain a list of all cameras that have been found in the network. If a lot of cameras are found in the network, it may be useful to switch from the table view to the list view, as this allows you to sort by name, type or URL. The search filter enables you to search for specific character sequences. If additional cameras are brought into the network in the meantime, they are found immediately, as the automatic search is enabled. You can disable the search function by clicking the magnifying glass symbol. In the next step, we will select all the cameras you want to add. Clicking the pencil symbol allows you to simultaneously change the camera name of all the selected cameras. The software then automatically attaches a consecutive number to each of the names. Mobotix recommends updating the camera software in order to make optimal use of all the functions. This can be done by simply pushing the Update Devices button. Simply select the update file and click Open. Everything else then runs automatically in the background. It is essential to change the admin password in order to protect the cameras in the project from unwanted access. In MxMC we can gain access by entering the username and password here. Bonjour has also found cameras with an IP address not located in the same subnet. It is possible to simultaneously change the IP address for one or multiple cameras by clicking Network Settings. All cameras are systematically supplied with IP addresses in sequence based on the first IP address provided. Once all of the settings have been specified, the operation can be completed on the next page. MxManagementCenter now launches with the live view from a camera. You can open the camera bar by tapping the film strip at the top of the image. As the administrator, we can click the plus button to add additional cameras. Tapping the film strip again switches from the camera bar to the group bar. There is initially only one single group with all cameras here. You can add new groups by clicking the plus button. But what's the idea behind groups in the video management system? Let's look at an example to answer this question. A company's premises consist of many areas, including the parking lot, the main building and the production hall. To gain a better overview, it makes sense to define specific groups for each of these areas. Each group has its own group symbol. It is possible to set up dedicated grid views, graphic views, and info views for each group. We can now click the plus button to create the first group. The dialog that follows allows us to specify a group name and group symbol. Once we have specified these settings, we can simply click another section in the program in order to apply the data. Afterwards, the group appears with its symbol in the group bar. A small red symbol in the upper corner indicates that no cameras have been added to the group yet. To add cameras to this group, we first have to navigate to the grid view of this group and unlock editor mode by clicking the small lock icon on the bottom right of the screen. Then we can switch from the group bar to the camera bar. We can now simply drag cameras from the bar into the group. Once we have added all of the cameras we want, it is possible to change how the windows are arranged in the grid. To do so, we can use the multifunctional sliders at the top of the image in editor mode. This sliders changes the size of the focus window, framed in yellow, in relation to the other frames. The focus window is currently 2 times bigger. It's now 3 times bigger. The grid doesn't feature a focus window if 0 is selected as the size. The second slider specifies the maximum number of camera channels in this grid. The third slider changes the aspect ratio of the focus window. The aspect ratios 4:3, 16:9 and 8:3 are available. We can change the order of the channels by clicking the bright dot on the channel in the upper left corner and moving it. You can delete the camera from this grid by tapping the X in the top right corner of the screen. By moving the mouse or our finger over the camera channel, 2 multifunctional sliders appear: zoom level and correction. Changes made to these settings are stored for this camera channel in this grid. Once all the settings have been specified, we can close the small lock icon again to leave the editor. There is a second way to add groups and cameras using the camera button at the bottom of the image. Press and hold or right-click the button to open a dialog window that once again allows us to select between groups and cameras. Either the cameras or the groups are displayed in a list. Pushing the plus button in the group view opens the dialog where we can enter names and symbols for the groups. We can once again use the multifunctional sliders to specify the settings of the grid view. Once the group has been created, all that has to be done is to fill it with cameras by dragging and dropping from the camera bar. By enabling the checkbox, it is possible to simultaneously drag all cameras of the same type. If we activate editor mode, we can delete the cameras or change the order. Here we can assign the switching functions of the buttons at the bottom. If, for example, we drag the door opener to a specific camera, the door opener of this camera activates when the door button is pushed. If we also drag the door opener to another camera, both door openers are triggered when the button is pushed. The situation is exactly the same with the other symbols in this dialog, for example switching on light or playing camera audio. By activating the search in the camera view, we get a list of all new cameras in the list. Selecting one or multiple cameras and then pushing the plus button allows us to add these cameras to the system. Entering a specific camera name is optional, but it's mandatory to specify a username and password in order to access the camera. We can also manually add cameras. Simply push the plus button in the camera view and enter the access data in the dialog that follows. It is also possible to integrate cameras from other manufacturers. If we click the gray field at the bottom of the screen, the reference image of this camera is retrieved and displayed in the camera view. Once everything has been specified, simply click in the background to save your entries. Now we want to set up the graphic view of the parking lot group. First of all, we will switch to the graphic view and then open editor mode. We can replace the background image using drag and drop from the File Explorer. We will select an aerial image here. We can simply slide the camera icons into place. Drag one of the corners to change the size. We can change the viewing angle by spinning the mouse wheel, and we can adjust the viewing direction by pressing and holding the mouse button. If, for example, several cameras are mounted on a pole, we can place the icons on the top of each other. As a result, the symbol automatically changes into a combined symbol. To resolve this combination, simply click the X and the icons are separated again. Live channels can be simply dragged and dropped from the camera bar. The same applies to group buttons. Our example featured an entrance gate that we want to open and close using a command button. Door control is connected with the I/O232 box of our door camera. A drive gate profile is defined for the signal output, and it toggles the switching status, or in other words, it changes the status after it's activated. We can set up this button by pressing and holding the button with the chain link. We will push the plus button to define a new button. The button gets a name first. Then we enter the HTTP API command to be used. For further information regarding HTTP API, refer to the camera's online help and the HTTP API tutorial in the Mobotix eCampus area. It is possible to use the button once we specify a username and password and a control button. We can also move the button to any desired position in our graphic view. We can also add temperature displays from the temperature sensors on our cameras to the view by dragging them from the list into the image. The temperature displays change color when they reach a threshold temperature. You can specify the setting by clicking the button and moving the threshold value. It is also possible to connect door openers buttons this way. After the graphic view is adjusted according to the customer requirements, we can leave editor mode and save our changes. Finally, we want to set up the info view of the parking lot group. To do so, we can navigate to this view and activate editor mode once again. The info view provides the option to use drag and drop to place an image in the background as information, or an HTML page, as is the case in this example. We can once again close the editor mode after specifying the setting. MxMC has an environments concept in order to be able to simply change all network settings in the event of a change in location. For example, we are usually in the office during the day and connected to the office network with our laptop. If we want to access the cameras in the company network from home in the evening, our laptop is connected to another network there and the cameras are accessed differently. When the camera bar is folded, the gear wheel symbol is located in the top right corner and it hides further options, such as environments. After installing the software, there is only one environment named Standard available. We'll rename it Office. We'll also create another new environment and name it Home Office. With that, we have defined the environments. The following prerequisites need to be fulfilled in order to remotely access your cameras from the internet. it is necessary to create an IP forwarding rule in the router firewall. It regulates forwarding to the specific camera in the event of outside access to a specific port. There must be either a fixed IP or a dynamic DNS service with which the network can be accessed from the internet. We now have to change the network data per environment for each camera. There are several ways to open the respective dialog in MxMC. By right-clicking the camera in the camera bar, by right-clicking the camera in the grid view, open the context menu and there the editor mode for cameras and then select the camera. In our Office standard environment, we can access the camera with high bandwidth via its network IP. For access from our home office, we need the remote URL, for example, office.dyndns.org with port 8080. It is also necessary to mark that this is remote access and a lower bandwidth should be used. The program settings specify the data rate for low bandwidth. Click MxManagementCenter, Preferences, Data Volume, Low Res. If your internet connection has very low bandwidth, it may make sense to only transmit audio. The audio-only bandwidth setting was designed for this purpose. Let's now move on to setting up user management. To do so, push the button with the user symbol in the upper left corner of the screen when the camera bar is folded. Clicking plus allows us to create a new user, for example, security guard. A dialog with the associated user rights opens immediately. We can specify the user's password here. If the user guard is only authorized to access specific groups, we can deactivate the prohibited groups. All of the functions described here can be restricted for each user. The supervisor now has a special role to play. The supervisor is authorized to temporarily release functions in accordance with the principle of two-man rule. For example, the security guard is generally not authorized to access the camera microphone. For this reason, we will disable the listen function for him. The supervisor may release this function. However, we must first specify a password to activate the supervisor. Once these settings have been specified, we can test this behavior. Log out as admin and then log in as the security guard. Now we want to listen, so we will push the audio button. We are informed that this function is protected, but we can launch supervisor mode using the supervisor password. This mode allows listen in accordance with what we previously specified. You should exit supervisor mode after completing the action. We recommend saving the project file once you have specified all of the settings. To do so, go to Menu, Project, Save As. A file with the .configuration extension is saved. Please note that projects that are not explicitly saved with their own file names are saved under the name projectdata.zip in the user's appdata directory. Any changes, such as new project, affect this file. If you fail to save your project with its own name and location, you will lose all of the settings you specified when you created a new project. Finally, you can also send the entire project file via email. Simply select File, Mail Project in the menu and enter the email address of the recipient. Before sending, note that the project file may be quite large. Let's now take a look at the general program settings. You can access the language settings under General. Double-click to proceed. The Data Volume tab allows you to provide information on bandwidth and download event data. The microphone sensitivity and push-to-talk settings are located under Listen. The Snapshots tab is used to specify the location and type for the snapshots. You can specify the snapshot mode in the Monitoring tab. In this mode, MxMC internally saves the last image before the connection is lost. If you switch the view in this camera, the last camera image saved is displayed. The idea here is we still can see the last camera image before the camera is unplugged. For example, in the event of theft of the camera. Remote control allows us to externally control MxMC remotely. For example, to establish a video wall. Access can be protected with a username and password. Once all cameras in the system are configured, you should make a backup of the camera configurations and the MxMC configuration. There is an appropriate assistant for this purpose. We can back up one or multiple camera configurations using device backup, depending on whether there is one camera selected in the live view or a group with a graphic or grid view. The system backup stores the camera configurations, including the MxMC configuration. If you need any more information on the camera or system configuration, the necessary manuals are available on our website in PDF format. We would be delighted to see you at one of our training seminars taking place in your area and at our headquarters. For an overview of our training seminars, visit www.mobotix.com/eng_us/partners/trainings. Thank you for your attention. Bye now.